Hello, welcome back. I didn't know we were live then. Welcome back to the Football Terrace. We're going a bit old school today with a live phone-in show. So if you want to join us, if you want to come on and have your say on any subject that's on your mind, the link is pinned to our live comment section right now. So you can come on, you can have your say, you can come and have a chat with us as well. We have some topics, or I say we, it's me. I'm here by myself. I have some topics that I want to speak about this evening, so we of course will be going through that, having our say, giving our views, giving our opinions, etc, but as ever, hit the like button. Please make sure you are subscribing as well. I want to give a shout out to our members. I'm going to do this a few times through the show. We have a new membership package coming soon, and when we launch this, I'll explain what's happening to the old one, why we're changing, why nothing's really been done in our membership space for the past 12 months. There has been a method to the madness. But if you want to be part of that and you do want to join and support our membership community now, there's a link directly in our description below, also in our live chat as well. So you can come on and get yourselves involved with that and support us. You could even, if you're feeling a little bit flush, maybe gift out some membership plans to your fellow viewers as well. But as ever, please hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribing. I'm going to start off with some of the talking points I want to speak about today. The first one wound me up a little bit, I'm not going to lie, and that's all to do with the PGMOL and the fact that it's all gone very, very quiet surrounding the situation with David Coote. We are 48 hours or so away from the Premier League starting again. We know he's been suspended, but Howard Webb hasn't spoken publicly about this situation. We've not been given any information into the types of investigations that are going on. And I saw a story actually earlier on today, which genuinely frustrated me. And that's that there are no plans for referees to be drugs tested, despite the David Coote scandal, despite the previous head of the PGMOL wanting to bring this in, clearly because he had worries and concerns about the behavior of some referees. They're not going to be doing that. And I know that the mainstream media have consistently pushed back on the idea that there's any kind of corruption or cover-up or wrongdoing. They don't help themselves, do they? They don't help themselves. I understand in real life not wanting to invite the police into your house. They might plant something if you're a bit of a target. But do we really think that, I don't know, who does would do the drugs testing? It wouldn't be UCAS? Is it UCAS? Like, why would UCAS cheat it? They're not going to, right? There's no reason for these referees to not have these drug tests, especially as it turns out that not only does one of them do it, they've arranged parties to do it. It should absolutely 110% be getting done, but that is being played down. And it frustrated me massively frustrated me, because we want more transparency. We want more honesty surrounding the situation, and nothing. It is being brushed under the carpet. The media are no longer talking about it in any capacity, by the way. You know, a few sort of backstory stories you have to search for. They're writing about it, but they're not pushing it. They don't want anyone to know what's going on. And that, for me, I smell a rat. I smell an absolute rat. I really, really do smell a rat when it comes to this situation. But maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. I want your views. I want your opinions on that right now, people, in the comments section. So make sure you're all getting that done for us right now. Another talking point for me, which I wanted to go through, and I want you guys to phone in about, and I want to get your comments on. Pep Guardiola signing a new deal. I think it's brilliant for the Premier League. It's fantastic for Manchester City. Are Arsenal fans worried about it? Are Arsenal fans genuinely concerned? And if so, why? Are Liverpool fans worried? Maybe not so much. Klopp's beaten him before. Slot's top of the league. Interestingly, as a Man United fan, I quite liked that he stayed. Initially, I was gutted. My gut instinct was, I wish he was going. But now I sort of feel my club's on the up. Got a great structure. I love the head coach. Let's do it. I'd love to see Amorim catch his Man City team, beat them to some major trophies in this period. It's great for my club. It's a bit like when the Klitschko's were the heavyweight champions of the world. Typically speaking, they did it in an era where there wasn't very many good heavyweight boxers. The era before them that had the Mike Tysons and the Holyfields and the Lennox Lewises in was excellent. The era that came after them, Tyson Fury, Wilder, Joshua, Usyk now, I don't think it's as good as the 80s and 90s, but a very good era of high quality boxing. Some knockout artists in there as well. But they kind of fought in this era where the competition weren't as good. And I'm not suggesting if Pep leaves, there's no one to beat in England. But I'm now, just me personally, I kind of like the idea of that. So I'd love to get your thoughts, feelings, and opinions on that in our comments section below as well. And yes, make sure the like buttons are being smashed. And let us all know where you're watching from around the world today as well. Is Matt welcome on the show? Do you know what Matt tweeted towards Fabrizio Romano I thought was disgraceful. No need for it over a really silly situation. I don't know whether I know he's deleted it now, and I think he said that he has apologized. If he comes on and sort of addresses that these things aren't right and he's kind of a changed person, always willing to give people another chance and another opportunity. So if he wants to call in and have his say this evening and kind of address that, absolutely. A few people are asking me, so absolutely. Terry, should all influencers be drugs tested? If my job decided, if I was refereeing something or I was being judgmental on something that actually held weight. So if I was if I was a judge in a court case, I think that's the type of job where you need to make sure that person is in sound mind at all times. If you have a job that really impacts the livelihoods and the mood and the feeling of thousands towards millions of people, I think there should be some element of drugs testing in it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Even if you're a judge of a boxing fight, should we not know that judge has not been drinking, that he doesn't have a drug problem, that he's not got these types of issues? I think it's fair. I think there's loads of jobs where you actually look at it and go, like, how would you feel if you were being adjudicated or refereed or umpired or judged by someone who the night before was off their head on something, who may still be under that influence? I think it's a fair challenge. Luke's watching in Islington. Big up yourself over there in Islington. That's not far from my old manor, mate. Not far from my old manor at all. There is another story that I want to get all your opinions on tonight, and I want to get your comments on that we're going to take in between calls as well. And this might trigger a few people, but I don't care. I'm in that mood tonight. I think the Arteta out debate is dead. The Arteta in, Arteta out debate is dead. It's dead. It's been flogged. It's finished. It's over and out. Now, what I mean by that, because some people will clip it there and go, what does it mean? We should never sack him. What does he mean? We should keep him forever? No, that's not what I mean at all. I've been at the center of some of these debates in terms of hosting them, and I've listened to it since its inception. And this is what I would say about both groups of people. The ones who have always wanted him in no matter what versus the people that have wanted him out from the beginning or from quite early or at some point have gone, he's got to go. But I'm talking about the early people, not the ones who are maybe changing their mind now. The reason why I look at the inners and the outers and say it's dead is that you have both got some things right, but you've also, I think, predominantly got the majority of the debate wrong. You've got so much wrong in the debate, I don't think any of you can claim victory. Do you get where I'm coming from? I just feel like, and that's both sides of the argument, and I kind of seen it over the international break rearing its head here in a space, or this YouTube channel, or this TikTok account, and I just sit there and think, do you know what? I know some gooners that said all along he would never win us a major trophy. That's them speaking. I'm not talking like I'm one of them, just again, for all the dullards. And so far, they're right. But they also predicted they'd never get into the Champions League, they'd never be in a race, they'd never win a trophy, that the players would never respect him, that we wouldn't ever play good football. Like hundreds of other predictions they made that were wrong. There's that one that's remaining. And like a lot of the people that have always said he's got to be in, they sort of predicted, they make predictions that this year we're going to do this. This year's the year, and I guarantee it. And then they're always kicking it on to the next season. And I just think, well, you're kind of wrong as well. You both got so much wrong. I feel like you should just drop the debate and it should move on to what is right now for Arsenal. Not, but I said this 5 years ago and I've got to be right about him. Or I said this 5 years ago and I ain't stopping until I'm proven. I think it's counterproductive. I almost feel like, and Arsenal fans can tell me if I'm wrong here about your club, I think people are bored of that conversation. It's so done and dusted. I think the rebuild's complete. He should be judged as of from last season, this season, on the trophies that he wins. I don't believe his position should be strong without winning trophies. I equally don't feel like he deserves the level of aggression and hatred that he gets from a certain sector of Arsenal fans that want him gone. I think, you've got so much wrong about him already. Surely you can't be that angry anymore. Do you get me? It's like if I predict Amarim's going to be an absolute disaster and will never win the Premier League. What do you mean, Terry, by disaster? Football will be crap. We won't make top four. We won't win trophies. We'll never compete again. And he's never winning that Premier League. And then over the next 4 years, we win trophies. We play beautiful football. We get into title races. We get back in the Champions League. But we don't end up winning the Premier League. And I go, see, I told you I was right. No, I was wrong about 90% of it, right? It makes the argument a little bit void. And so, as I say at the beginning, I don't think that Arsenal fans should just sit there and not talk about the future of their head coach or their manager. I absolutely think it's right to do that. I agree with a lot of the criticisms. And I also agree with some of the support. I think there's balance on both sides here. But the typical Arteta in, Arteta outers, I just feel like you've all lost the debate because you've all got so much wrong already. There's like no credibility left. It's a bit like politics in the UK. It doesn't really matter who wins the election. All of you have had your credibility shot to bits and no one fucking cares about any of you. We think you're all a bunch of tosspots in reality. And I feel like it's kind of got to that position. And that's just me as an outsider looking in at some of the debates over the course of this period. But again, I know some people will twist this into Terry saying we shouldn't ever ask for him to be sacked, or Terry saying we should keep him forever. No, not at all. But I think it's got to move on from, and by the way, if he wins the league, told you he'd do it. Yeah, you said you'd do it 3 years ago, and you meant 3 years ago. You didn't mean, when you said that in 2022, he's winning the league this year, you didn't mean in 2025. So you're wrong as well. You're not right. You don't get to say you were right. Do you know what's the expression? Like if you throw enough shit, some of it sticks. It's kind of what's going on in that debate now, in my opinion. But that's just my view. I'd love to hear from you all on that right now. Arteta spent more than Ten Hag and won less trophies. Let's see, Man United fans are not going to like my response to this. Man United fans genuinely are not going to like what I say to this, but I think there's truth in this. I haven't done the research recently enough to, what's the word I'm looking for? Put the facts out there. However, what you need to do in these circumstances is review what somebody inherited. How good was the Arsenal squad that Arteta inherited versus how good Ten Hag's is or was? When Pep leaves and a new manager comes in, what he inherits is likely to be better than 99.9% of all other squads in the world. That can't be comparable to what Amarim is taking over from right now. And I think that's why, yes, you can look at the money that's been spent by a particular manager, but what was the starting point? Because we judge them all on what they achieve and we add into it what they spend. But what is the starting point? If Pep Guardiola leaves this season, not as much money needs to be spent to make City champions of England as opposed to a manager taking over Tottenham. So I always think that has to be taken into consideration when having these conversations, IFL. I really, really do. And that's why, by the way, City, when they first got a lot of money, spent so much compared to everybody else because they had a couple of decades to catch up. So they spent really quickly. And it's just the nature of the beast, and it makes sense. So I think that's a really important element to factor in when it comes to that side of things, my friend. But yeah, really, really good super chat. Thank you very much indeed. Any team can easily finish 5th at this point. Listen, from this, I'm stuttering now. Yeah, you're right. It's anyone can. 4 points separate 3rd and 13th. It's a madness. 3rd to 13th is separated by 4 points. By the end of this weekend, in terms of points, the team currently in 13th could be 1 point off 3rd, theoretically. It's brilliant. I think it's brilliant for the game, but it definitely has to be spoken about. Definitely has to be spoken about. What's this here say? FIM 12 minutes behind watching from the start, but fair play with the call-in show, guaranteed good unfiltered content. Yeah, look, we've got a few things that we're going to be bringing back to the terrace soon, and for a little while we didn't do certain shows. We didn't kind of grow the membership area. We've got a few new platforms that we're going to be doing things on, and my reasoning for doing that genuinely was buying the terrace back. My partners had their partners who were basically trying to screw us over for the price. So essentially what we had to do was like drive the value of the business down by not growing, as in growing across platforms. We had loads of great ideas. We had a really good sponsorship deal that we actually should be happening this coming year, 2025. We had to put it on ice because we're like, we land that, it's going to bring up the value of the business and they're going to want some more money, right? So there was a strategy behind all of this, which is now behind us. We've got a few other things to sort out, and then we can really head on forward. And one day, very soon, it's coming. We're going to do a real big show on the agreements and the partnerships, the good, the bad, the indifferent that come with it. Some real great elements, some other areas which, again, if I knew then what I know now, I'd have done things very differently. So yeah, that's kind of and call-in shows are one of the things that we really do want to bring back. Sonny here says, Terry Lee Gunner hasn't been on here for a minute. What's the reason? Well, if you watch our last top Straight Facts show, it was very much spoken about. Lee wanted to spend more time focusing on growing his channel and doing more content his end. That show's still on the channel. It's all on there, my friend. I'm not sure if you watched it. I think Arsenal fans will never be happy no matter who is in charge. So look, listen, even though I'm saying I think that debate's dead, everyone's entitled to their opinion, okay? And everybody always will be. There's always going to be a percentage of people, and I don't think it's Arsenal fans in particular. I think everywhere you go that are just not happy. They're always in a bad mood. They're always cynical. And most of the time, what they're moaning about isn't what their real gripe is. There'll be something else deep lying that they've got an issue with, isn't it? I used to work with a guy called Dave. I'm not going to say his surname. And he was just this grumpy old man who was never happy about any. And I remember I was in doing all my kickboxing at the time and karate. And I was just turned 17 and I went to the British nationals. And the Saturdays were the juniors, which I was still competing in. And Sundays were the adult trials. And I competed in the juniors and I won 2 or 3 sections to qualify to go to the World Championships. And then I chanced my arm at sort of just turned 17. So I just turned 17. I went, I'm going to have a go at the adults and just see how I get on. And I won all the same section in the adults. And I remember going back into work on the Monday because I had to have a normal job. There wasn't like loads of money in that sport. And I was just over the moon. I won 6 British titles that weekend and got 2 silvers as well. And I thought, I'm going to go into work. And everyone at work was great. They were like, oh, well done. Great. Congratulations. And I remember him sitting there with his screwed up face, just basically saying, yeah, it's shit though, isn't it? You're not on TV. I remember him saying, you're not on TV or nothing though, are you? And the 17-year-old me was like, fuck you, Dave, you miserable bastard. But now I'm older and I look back at it, just something deep lying. He wasn't annoyed that I did what I did. There was something else in his life that he was frustrated with, if that made sense. Is why he was this grumpy old bastard. I actually saw him a little while ago. He's all right. He's cheered up now. I don't know, but yeah, so someone like him, if he was involved in football content, would just be a miserable bugger. But probably not because he's angry at his football club. Maybe his wife left him. Maybe his kids don't talk to him. Maybe he's got a small pecker. I don't know what it is, right? There's loads of things that upset men. But maybe hair falling out. I've got a few friends who become very grumpy when their hair started falling out. That's why I had a transplant. But yeah, listen, as I say, there's no Other than that, Lee deciding he wanted to do his own thing. Back to that super chat. Absolutely no issues from my point of view of the Football Terrace. Lee's always welcome if he ever wants to come on the shows. So yeah, no issues from my end whatsoever. Make sure all the like buttons have been hit. Absolutely. Going to start bringing out some calls in a minute. The last thing I want to talk about before I bring the calls out is my club, Manchester United. And we spoke about it a bit on Straight Facts earlier, but I wanted to get your opinion on this as well and take some calls. Alphonso Davies. Man United are reportedly leading the race to sign him. Reportedly. Now, again, just for all my haters, that's me reiterating a news article and not me stating that I have inside sources that know what's going on. For all the silly people at the back. I really hope this is true. I really hope it's true. I think he's a phenomenal player. I know there's some criticism of his time at Bayern, but so there was for De Ligt and so there was for Mazza as well, and they're doing fantastically well. And I think they'll improve further under Amorim. But I really like this link. My gut tells me Real Madrid will get him, if I'm being honest. My gut feeling says it's going to be a Real Madrid deal. Real Madrid are going to come in and they're going to take him. I really, really do. But I'm hopeful. And I think Mo said it earlier, and Mo said it really, really well, that he feels it may depend upon how we do in the Europa League and Champions League qualification. And I think that will certainly play a part. There's no doubt about that in my mind. I think that will certainly play a part in that situation and can give us an extra string to our bow. But what I really think it's going to boil down to is how good we look. Forget league finish, forget what we win, how good we look inside and outside of the football club. So can we sit down with Alphonso Davies and say, look, we've got the structure in place. This is the direction. Yes, the new head coach came in November, but look at the win percentage since then. The attitude is great. This is the direction we're moving in. We want to bring you into the club, but we're also going to be buying this type of player. Can we show him that management has really changed at the highest level, that we are moving in the right direction, that we're operating correctly? Can we do that? That's the big question. I think we can, personally. I think we can show that. I think we can do that. I think we are going to be able to demonstrate that. However, proof's in the pudding at the end of the day. And I think if we can show a player like Alphonso Davies that there's always a chance of getting him. I said it earlier on, I don't want to pay above the odds in the sense of if Madrid are willing to offer him 200 grand a week and Bayern offer him 200 grand a week to stay, if we offer 220, 230, 240, 250, I'm okay with it. 260, 270, I'm starting to think you're going a little bit too high. We start hitting the 300k pluses compared to what everybody else has offered. So 80, 90, 100k more. Then I start to be a little bit concerned around how we convince the player. I don't want him just to come because the financial package is hugely superior. You might need to compensate a little bit. But you know what? We know that you're taking a bit of a risk with us because of how broken we've been. So there's an extra 10, 15, 20 grand a week. I can understand that and stomach it. But I want us to be really careful in that area. On top of that, you have to look at the overarching cost. And we worked it out on the show earlier. The left back whose name now eludes me at Bournemouth, with what you would have to pay him in salary and the transfer fee and the signing on fee, we worked out that give or take, depending on if we were really, really extravagant with what we pay Alphonso Davies, he may only cost somewhere in the region of £10 million to £15 million more over a 5-year period. So you also have to factor in those overarching costs as well. So look, I hope this story is true. I hope we're leading the race. I'm hopeful that we can bring him into the football club as well. I would absolutely, genuinely, I'd absolutely love for that to be true and for that to be the case as well. I think it would be an amazing piece of business for Manchester United, and it shows the power of the football club if we could do that. Sam Ritchie here. Yeah, that's his name. Kirkes, that's the name. Sorry, it just eluded me. Thank you, Matt. Terry, never been so excited from a 6-7 minute training video. Even if we were playing Prime Barca this weekend, I think we'd have a chance. Listen, I'm excited as well. I feel like a kid at Christmas. But it isn't. I've been thinking about why am I excited? And yeah, I saw the training video and I saw Rashford post. Saw Bruno there smiling today. And I'm like, yes, please, come on, work. I want it to work. But I think for me, and this is maybe where I see this a little differently, Sam, to a lot of other Man United fans, is all I have spoken about consistently for the best part of a decade now, across socials, radio, even when I was doing a bit of TV back in the day before I got too old. Structure, football decision makers, no more manager, head coach needed, a club plan. Those 5 things have been at the forefront of my mind, my opinion, and what I felt United need to improve. Every time we sacked the manager and brought somebody else in, I said, if we don't change the structure, it'll fail, and it has. Every time we did the same thing again and again, and I lost hope. But because we've got all of those things now in place, I'm not just excited about what this head coach could bring and how we might play football. I'm genuinely hopeful of the future for my football club. The final piece I need to really feel 100% bought into every facet is we need to get wind of a plan to remove the Glazers completely. Then, bruv, I am doing a big one. I am maxing out a credit card on the club website, buying all the gear. I'm buying lunch boxes, kits. They must have something. I saw today they sell on Man United website, like walking jackets. And I walk my dog. Like, we go out for about 2 hours a day, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening. I love doing it. I go out at night now as well because nobody else is out. No one's a hardcore dog walker like me. I've even got a torch that goes on my head, bruv. Like, I love it. I'm in the woods. I look a proper geek, but I love it. And I did bump into this woman yesterday. I was walking through the graveyard and I came out and she's like, oh, do you walk the dog in the forest at night by yourself? I was like, yeah. She went, isn't it a bit dangerous? I was like, I used to walk around the streets of Hackney at night by myself, like going home. It was fine. This is, who's in the woods? Then I got home and I walked on my street, saw 2 police cars, police walking around outside my house. First of all, shit myself. I was like, oh no. Then I thought, I haven't done anything for a while. I've done nothing wrong for a long time now. So relax. And I said, excuse me, officer, can I help you at all? Then I saw their dogs and I've got a German Shepherd as well. And I'm like, fuck me, what's going on? And they said, excuse me, do you have access to because there's all these fields and farmland behind my house. Do you have access to the fields? I said, well, I've got a fence. He went, no, like a gate. I said, no. He goes, we can't climb over fences. We have to get like something to do with continuity. I don't really understand it. I was like, why? You know, with someone's on the loose and they're in that back field. And I was like, shit. There's me walking around all these fields and woodland where I live thinking it's safe. There's someone on the run there. And they had all these police dogs going through the field. My dog's going mental because there's all these dogs running around out the back. He's trying to jump over the fence. There I was sitting outside. I was like, I'm going to sit outside my back garden though, in case because my kids are here. So I'm like, in case this person comes into my back garden, I've got to protect my kids. So me and my dog just sat outside waiting yesterday. It was a fun evening. Then the police helicopters came over and they caught him, but it was about half a mile away by then. I didn't want to like G the man up. I'd always help, I'd always try to help someone on their way, but I was like, no, he might come near my house with my kids. I can't be, do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, it was a fun night. So now when I'm out walking, I think, oh, I wonder what criminals are hiding in the woods tonight in sunny Surrey. But yeah, it was a crazy night. I enjoyed it though. It was fun. But yes, I'm very, very excited. Very, very excited indeed. And I've got a lot of hope for the direction that Man United are now going in. As ever, people hit like and share buttons. And I want to say a big shout to everybody who is tuning in. And as I mentioned already, we've got something really big coming when it comes to our membership plan at the Football Terrace, not just the sort of perks. And one of the biggest things KJ and I have spoken about behind the scenes for a while is I really want to do something for our members. Yes, there's the group chats and there's a bit of early access and there's posts that we put out that you guys see that others don't. But I want to do more than that. I want to do more. YouTube's a bit limiting. So we've got something really cool coming, something to do with watch-alongs and some other different bits and pieces that nobody else is doing. Plus, I'm not going to even reveal a snippet of what comes after that. But there's something else we're going to be launching soon as well. Something I've wanted to do for a long time that's now coming to life. And, we've had this in the sort of planning for just over a year now. And our members are going to get first refusal on this. So if you do want to become a member, you can join now for as little as 99p. If you're feeling a bit flush, if you do have the spare cash, you can gift out some memberships to our wonderful audience as well. That's all done. There's a link in our live chat that you can click on and get that done. If you want to call in, I'm going to share the link again for that right now in the comment section. Now I'm going to start taking some calls. First on the show this evening, we'll bring one person out and then we'll start bringing some others out in and out. So if you are backstage, we'll try and get you all on as best as we can. So if you're not out straight away, please bear with us. First up, Canadian Cam is here with me. What you saying, bro? We've also going to bring Canadian Cam out. I'm also going to bring... Jesus, is that who I think it is? Is that who I think it is? We got young Tommy, who I think's here as well. Long time no see. We got Ray, and we got Sam, and we got Jacob.
Just call me Thomasin.
Thomasin. You're always gonna be young Tommy to me, mate. I can't help it. You're always gonna be young Tommy that used to phone in. Chris Walker's backstage. We've got Elijah.
30, man.
Yeah, but you're just little to me. Like I'm only joking. Like you were early 20s when you first started calling in. No disrespect intended. Yeah, I know. Right. We've got more people coming on as soon as Canadian Cam. What are you here to say, brother?
Yo, Tom, I'm driving, so sorry. You might have to mute me after. Do you hear me all right, though?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro.
Oh, cool. Davies.
Bro, the signal is crazy. Actually, we can't really hear you at all now. You've started talking. that went west quite quickly. Try calling back, Canadian Cam. Sorry, brother. Thomasin, what you saying, bro? What you saying?
I'm good, man. Long time no see. How are you, Tel? You good?
I'm very good. I know it's been a while since you've been on the terrace, mate. What are you here to talk about tonight?
Well, the title's over for me. It's over because obviously we're 9 points behind Liverpool. Chelsea away was a must-win game. We were toothless again. Newcastle away was a must-win game. They deserved to beat us, and they were the better team, and we were just awful. So yeah, it's done for me, man. I don't think we're gonna win anything with this guy and with Mikel in it, because he's just not taking me to where we want to be, like to winning titles, winning the Champions League for the first time, and him buying, and he doesn't, and we like I said to people, we need a top class striker. We haven't had a striker since Aubameyang, since Abba. We haven't had a top striker. Like, then he buys Kai Havertz for 65 million, thinking you have to use that money to get me Eucharez, Osimhen, or Isak, Sesko. He failed to do that. We need a right winger because Saka needs competition. He failed to get me a right winger. He got Sterling, who for me he's washed. Sterling is not what he was. Washed up player for me. Then I want a left winger. I want like a Luke or Nico Williams. He failed to do that. Trossard for me, he's a bench player at best. I've defended Trossard, but when he starts games, he goes missing. He's not effective enough. Martinelli, yes, he scored a good goal against Chelsea, but I think it's time for me to cut our losses with him this summer. I just think he's not the player he was, and he pisses me off. He every time he's on the ball, he looks down thinking, why does this man look down? You have to look up to take on your man. He doesn't do that enough. I'm getting frustrated with Martinelli. I think we should part ways with this guy in the summer. And yeah, I just think I said Liverpool. I think Liverpool will win the league. I said Liverpool are my favourites to win the league because Arne Slot's a good manager. They're flying. Yeah, we're 9 points behind them. I said to people, it's November. Yeah, it's November, but it's done for me because we can't keep dropping points. And yes, even if we beat Forest, Fulham, West Ham, cool, but it's not going to change anything. And we need to start winning trophies because this is Arsenal Football Club. You can't have one FA Cup in 5 years, and he spent over 700 million, and he's got one FA Cup in 5 years. When are we going to start questioning Mikel? When are we going to question this? Because I've been Arteta out for
800 million.
Arteta out for 4 years. When are we going to question this manager? When are we going to start asking questions? Because people love to make excuses for him. Because for me, if we don't start winning anything, I think he needs to go, and we can. And there's a lot of names that I would love to get as well.
Bro, I think you're absolutely right when it comes to questioning him in terms of the rebuild. If people want to speak about that, is done. Okay, I do think there is validity in what he had to build over the first 2 to 3 years. The squad he took over was poor. It was disbalanced. The club was in absolute disarray. I don't think any Arsenal fan can disagree with that, considering a lot of the Arsenal fans that wanted that don't agree with that were the same people that were protesting Wenger out, protesting to get and moaning to get Unai Emery out. That doesn't sound like a club that was in a good situation if you're having to do that. However, I absolutely concur, and I believe since the start of last season, moving into this one, Arteta has to be judged on what he is and is not winning. With Pep signing a new deal, I don't think anyone can no longer say, well, let's kick the can until next season because Pep isn't going to be here anymore. And that may level the playing field. I don't think you can do that. So I think you're absolutely right that from last season, this season included, the trophies that Arteta wins should dictate how much longer he stays at the club. I completely and utterly agree with you.
One more thing. Yeah. Pep signing a new deal. It's not looking great for us Arsenal fans, even Liverpool fans. The greatest manager on earth. The greatest manager in the world for me. Obviously, I think I pick Fergie. I think Fergie over him for me, and I think Fergie is better than him for me in my opinion. Obviously, you're a legend in my opinion. I think Fergie is the greatest for me in my opinion. But like I said, that's great. I said to my dad and people, questions have to be asked if we don't win anything because he's been with us for almost 5 years and it's not good enough, and we need to win as well. And people say, who are we going to get? I've given the people a list of managers. I said to people, I would love Nagelsmann. Nagelsmann's the one I would love. I will love Simeone, Carlo. But let's be real, we're not going to. Why would Carlo leave Real Madrid for us? We're not going to get Carlo. I remember a lot of people say, "Oh, Carlo's washed. Simeone's washed." I'm thinking these are winners. Like
don't trigger.
He said he's going to retire when his job.
Carlo's moving on. Carlo's moving on.
Then, fair enough.
Yeah.
I'll take Xabi Alonso, top manager. I'll take a Xabi Alonso. I'll take Inzaghi.
Well, if you want a shot, you can take him at the end of the
season.
Tom, I really appreciate you calling in, mate.
Get him. Let's be real. Why would?
Yeah, no,
I would boot him out and give him to you.
Yeah, Sam don't like him at all. Stay with us though, Tom. Thank you very much for giving us your thoughts. Do you want to tell you on the amount of money spent? Because I see everyone challenging on it. It's 782 million euros that have been spent, 651 million pounds. So that I think sometimes people get confused with how much Arsenal and all clubs have spent because some websites put it in euros, some put it in pounds. But Arteta has spent, in terms of not including sales, it's 651 million pounds or 782 million euros, give or take. So some websites might have it slightly higher, but that's in and around those figures is what has been spent by them of a football club. This comment here says, "Oh, please, these lazy arguments are not good enough. Not good enough. Judge at the end of the season." Listen, hang on. What I will say is, hang on. Let's be fair to the comment. Let me just go ahead because you guys are saying no. He isn't saying that you shouldn't judge him on winning trophies or not. He's saying, well, let's have this conversation at the end of the season when we know what trophies have been won. What's unfair about that particular view?
Who wants to go first?
Because he hasn't won nothing in the last 3 years, so he kind of like, well, what do you mean judge by that season? He basically did the same thing every season, but for the last 4 years, he bottled top four, he bottled 2 title races, he hasn't won jack shit. Like, what do you mean judge end of the season? It's like been 4 years.
I think this season is the one you judge him from because he's been doing okay to rebuild Arsenal. So that's as a not an Arsenal fan because I'm a Manchester United fan, but what Arteta's been doing is what I've been praying United been doing: just rebuild your team to challenge. Well, I think this season now he's got to win something to say, well, I've rebuilt Arsenal and I got your a Champions League or I got your Premier League. So yeah, this for me is his judgmental on what he's going to win this season. Sorry, guys, I can't bring the camera on because
that's fine. That's fine. Do you know what? I think it's fair. Look, I understand where this comment is coming from, and this is where I think the debate is fair. Some Arsenal fans want to wait until the end of the season, then have the conversation. Some Arsenal fans believe, same as fans at all clubs, that having what they perceive to be negative conversations isn't of any benefit to the football club at this point. However, I do understand the frustrations of fans that don't believe they're going to win anything with this manager. I get it from both sides, and I do think there is a conversation to be had in this. Matt, welcome back to the show. Obviously, I know you're someone who backs Arteta. What's your view on what's being said here by the boys and by Tom?
Look, I think on this season, it's obviously not been the best start, and I think in this instance you do have to apply a lot of context into it. We've had a lot of injuries, we've had 10 men for 3 games. This isn't excuses, I'm just putting it into context because this season has been a poor season. Poor season by probably the majority of players. But, you know, we are only a couple of points behind Man City. And I do think Liverpool, you know, that drop-off will come. It's just a matter of when, really, because this is literally the same players that they had last season, and they stumbled at around April time because they couldn't handle the fitness and whatnot, because, you know, they burnt out and whatnot. So I am waiting along that sort of, you know, schedule time. But in terms of right now, I think with Mikel Arteta, this Arteta in, Arteta out stuff, it is just complete BS, like you said, Terry, because it's literally irrelevant now. It is literally irrelevant because both sides have been proven wrong. Both sides have been proven wrong in that the Arteta inners, you know, look, he hasn't won a trophy yet, right? But the Arteta outers, I don't understand that, because at the end of the day, both sides know that the manager will be here in the next 3 years. Both sides know, because the owners are happy with him.
Sorry. So can I ask a question? So if he doesn't win anything this season, would you be happy with him?
It depends on what happens on, do we do well in the Champions League, and, you know, are we in a title race? Because if both of those happen and we don't win any trophies, I'm willing to give him, you know, another season or two.
If you finish in the top four, though,
if he finishes in the top four,
well,
then,
yeah, you give him another season, because if he drops out of that and doesn't win it,
if he drops out of the top four
and doesn't win anything,
not win a
would you?
trophy and does shit in the Champions League, then there is serious questions.
Okay.
And
Exactly.
my question would be on the alternative on, is there a manager that can get us over the line? And that's always been my question.
There is, though, and
there is literally managers out there.
There are managers out there, and I think this is where it comes. This is what I mean by the Arteta in, Arteta out debate is dead. And I'm not talking about people that are now, like the boys have just done on here. I'm not talking about Tom or anybody else saying if he doesn't win this season, he should go. Right? I'm talking about the old debate that's dragged on for 4 or 5 years. I'm right. No, I'm right. No, I said this right. You're all wrong. You're all wrong, because you can't, you know, like someone can make 1,000 predictions about what's going to happen in the future and get 3 right. That doesn't fucking make them a fortune teller. They're just basically guessing a load of shit and hoping some of it comes true, right? Because so much has been wrong by both sides. However, that's why I think the conversation has to evolve, has to mature, and move away from, I was right, I was wrong, you got this right. Yeah, but I did get this one correct. Yeah, but you didn't get this one right. It needs to go on to what is best for Arsenal. And this is what I say to the Arteta inners. The idea that there are no head coaches in world football that can get you over the line or make you better, I think is ridiculous. Because what you're essentially saying is that barring Pep, Arteta is the second best manager in the world, and I don't think he is at this particular. Maybe he will be in the future, but I wouldn't say he is now. And
you're talking about replacing a rookie. That's what you're talking about replacing.
And this is where Arsenal fans need to remember: you're Arsenal Football Club. You're not Arteta Football Club. As great as I think he's done to rebuild you to this point, and everyone always takes the mick out of me, and I don't really care in the reality about when I said Arsenal was scary. Go back and watch those videos. Some of you may remember. I know Jason does. He watches my stuff. I said it's scary because I think with what you've built, you're either going to win with Arteta or replace him and win with the person who comes in. It was never about, oh my God, look what Arteta's done. Arteta's made them amazing, but they won't be able to do it without him. That's never been the rhetoric. And I believe that in that even more now. So I just think that you guys have got to look at that bigger picture here. And Isaac actually come here and said that if we don't win anything, then I think he should go. We haven't started well 100%, but things change in the course of the season. That's why I say we should wait. I want Arsenal to win. The board won't sack him like at this particular point. So I also understand Arsenal fans that don't want to have the conversation because they feel that no matter what they say, nothing's actually going to change between now and the end of the season. So I do get it. I do understand that perspective. Because again,
Sorry, can I ask you a question?
Of course you can, bruv.
Have you not had your worst start in the Premier League in history? Apparently, I've heard that you guys have had. Is that true?
I think it is true. Yes.
Yeah. So you've had your worst start in the Premier history, like ever,
Yes.
and yet you're only 4 points behind them.
Yeah,
How is that even possible? How is that even possible?
No, that's crazy, man.
How on earth is that even possible, Terry?
Do you want to know why it's possible? Because it's so early in the season. And I'll give you an example. We're only 4 points behind them. Yes, and you're saying that's not a massive gap, correct?
Yeah, it's not a massive gap.
Would you say 6 points is a massive gap?
6 points.
So we're 4 points behind them. You're saying it's not a massive gap. If it was 6 points, would you say it's a massive gap?
Not really.
Not really. Okay. So Arsenal are only 6 points worse off than they were last season. So the point I'm making is it's so early in the campaign that it's our worst start, yes, but there hasn't been enough time to accumulate an absolute vat of points. Now, we've all said Arsenal have had a terrible start this season compared to the last couple of years. There's no doubt, and they've been ridiculed and they've been ripped apart. But the only reason is that Arsenal are definitely 4 points better than Man United in reality in terms of performances in the last 2 to 3 years. They've started the season off poorly as well, but Man United have been poor for an 18-month period. That, of course, is going to be used as a tool to beat Arteta over the head with. But at the same time, it's so early in the campaign still. We've still got three quarters of the campaign to go. And if that was to multiply itself over, if they finished 12 points, if they finished 16 points ahead of us by the end of the season, you would all say that's a big gap. So they're tracking towards being 16 points ahead of us at the end of the season. That's a massive gap. That's a huge differential in league football. So I do get the point, and I've bantered it as well. I've done it all week on Straight Facts. But in reality, I still think them and Chelsea, Corks, Man City and Liverpool, I do think they are a much better team than Man United have demonstrated so far. So I do get your point, but I wouldn't sort of, if I was debating this properly, having a real life debate, I wouldn't sort of be nailing my argument to that view personally.
Can I also just say is that the club are in a win-win situation because, like, we either keep Arteta and he will eventually win something. I do think it is a matter of when, or they sack Arteta and they get someone in that's better than Arteta, and the squad's not exactly going to leave because the squad are down to long-term contracts. So I do think we are in a win-win situation.
Is Saliba down to a long-year deal, bro?
He is. He's got 3 years.
I'm just saying.
He's got 3 years, Sam.
I get where you're coming from with that point, Matt. I do. However, this is where I think Arsenal fans have got to stop thinking purely about Arteta and their club. Yes, you could wait another 3 years and then eventually win something. But what if you bring Alonso in the summer and then go on to win back-to-back Premier League titles? Trust me, if that happens, most of you won't even think about Arteta anymore. You'll remember him and go, I like how he rebuilt us, but you'll forget. You know, like when you have a player leave and you're gutted and then the new signing comes in and kills it, you're like, don't care anymore. Any young man who had that heart broken by a woman, as soon as the next lady comes into his life that he loves, you forget. In fairness, when you get to my age, I even forget what some of my younger girlfriends when I was younger looked like. I remember them, but I don't really remember what they look like or even sound like anymore. You forget about these things. So you've got to think more about your club. I'm going to go to Cam because I want to get his opinion on Alphonso Davies to Man United. What are you saying, bro?
Oh, sorry about that. I was driving. Yeah, so this is how I look at it. I disagree with one thing you said. If his agent's going around and saying it's going to cost $300K a week to sign him, okay. If Real Madrid, in my opinion, is saying like, yeah, we're just not going to because we don't have to because we can get players as good as you. And I'll explain my point here. I don't want us to break wage structure. I don't want us to get mercenaries. But Alphonso Davies, it's Davies, not Davis, by the way. For all you British people, I can correct the way you say it. I know.
Sorry. Is Alphonso what? Sorry.
It's Alphonso Davies, not Davis. And I get it. That's how you say it. That's how you guys say it, but it's Davies.
Davies. Okay.
Yeah. So it's weird. Canadian.
We as British people have to mispronounce it like you guys do. That's crazy, but okay.
That's how it is. Okay, so here's the deal. Like, we've always wanted, you're always saying, like, we've always talked about best in class, best players, best in the position. Arguably, obviously, he's had his injuries or whatnot. Alphonso Davies is the best left back in the world. Arguably, when he's on his pomp, like I can say that unbiasedly, and I think a lot of people would agree. when you think about the system that we're going to be employing, a big thing that he's always wanted is he wants to get further forward. He wants to be in the attack more, and that's exactly what he would be doing in our system. If it costs you $300,000 a week, if you do the quick math, that's around $62 million over a 4-year period you're going to spend for him. Kirkez will cost us probably what, $30 million to buy, or 20. I don't know what he's going to cost us, but $20 million to buy, or whatever that player is going to cost us. If you put him on 80 to 100K a week, that's another 20 million expenditure. You're coming in around 50 million over a 4-year period for that player. Tell me, would you not rather spend an extra 10, 15 on an Alphonso Davies versus on Kirkez?
I agree. No, I made that point. I don't know if you heard. I agree.
Yeah, so your point with you don't want him to come in just for money, I agree with that. But if you've got an agent who goes out there and is saying the same way we got Euro, well, Real Madrid didn't want to spend it. They think you're not worth that. They're going to go get somebody else. This team values you at that price.
1 year left, you spent 50 million. Bloody hell.
I don't care. We still got him, and he's still one of the best young players in his position. We don't know what's going to happen, but based on his positioning, you still spend that money. Again, I get it. You can be salty all you want, but we beat you to a player because you didn't value him the same way another team did. Plain and simple. So if we value Alphonso Davies more than Real Madrid does, and that gets us in,
go ahead. No, go ahead and take him because he cannot defend as well.
I don't care. I don't care about all that because that's not what our system needs desperately from that position. That's really
Real
not.
Madrid was trying to shorthand the club we bought him from.
Yeah, so for me, if you do that, also now we get into financial commercially. This is where Ed Woodward was good, then we can't hate on him for. If Alphonso Davies goes to United, Canada's the next 4 years, that's it. You own Canada. Like you literally the entire country. It doesn't matter who supports who. It doesn't matter. You will switch people. You will get an entire young fan base that only cares about him. Like our entire youth, everybody, the only player that we care about is Alphonso Davies. You will have that kid everywhere. The sales in Canada, it would be crazy. So you would recoup some of that as well from commercial value. And the same way, Tottenham does it with Son and Asian players, it's going to be no different. And I know we don't have a huge population, but that trickles down. So in my opinion, that would be the biggest signing of intent of where we're going or where we need to be. And I think the players in the locker room wouldn't be upset about him being paid a bit more outside of a wage structure because you're like Champions League winner, the guy's like the best in the world. Like there's a certain ilk that walks into your club that you show a certain level of respect to. And I think he would be one of those players. Now, if we don't get him, I don't even want Kirkez. I want us to just go get Alvaro back, which we should anyway, go buy him back because he fits the system and do it that way. But yeah, man, that's how I feel about it. I would, this is the one time because it's on the free. You don't have to pay a fee for him. You are going up against Real Madrid. If you need to pay a bit more, do it. That's just my feeling. I think he'd be perfect for us. Like it'd be a great.
They won't pay him that much money. I don't think that's.
It's the only thing I disagree. I don't disagree with your overarching point you've made. The only time I don't want us to go too high is if we have to offer. If Madrid offer 200K and Bayern Munich do, and we have to offer him 300, 350 to turn his head, I don't want that. I don't mind paying the going rate for one of the best left backs in the world, but I want him to want to be here for more than just the money. As long as we, and by the way, I would trust the likes of, this is where having Dan Ashworth, having Wilcock, having Barada makes me more relaxed, is that I don't believe they would make the decision purely on the commercial side. That will be a factor in terms of how much we can afford to play him, but I don't think they would do that. So I totally agree with you on that. And to get another player away from Madrid would be amazing. To just to wind down.
It helps offset it. That's the thing.
Hey, you ain't gonna win anything even if you get him. I'm still gonna win stuff.
So for me, the way I look at it, dude, it's not that I'm saying for the commercial value we get him. It just helps offset that price, and you factor that in. And I think they would do that. And then just one more thing before I head out. On your Pep comment, I don't know, man. I just want to win stuff. So if Pep needs to go for that to happen, I'm okay. I get it. You want to beat the best to be the best, but Pep had his era. Let Pep move aside. He's got one more year. Let Emre do something next year, and then Pep get the fuck out. That's how I look at it. That's correct.
No, listen, I do hear you, mate. No, I do hear you. I do hear you. And I just sort of looked at it. My gut feeling was, oh, he's staying. But then I just looked at it and thought, you know what? Let's have a go, mate. Let's go out there. Let's have a go. Let's try and do something and see what happens. Cam, I know you got to shoot, mate. Top man for calling in, brother. And I'll speak to you soon. Cheers, bro. Thank you. I've got a few super chats here. First one says, there's almost a whole season to go. Too many rivals allow tribalism to get in the way of proper discussions. Major injuries, tough fixtures. Chill. There is a long way to, and that's what I would say about having some of these conversations now. You know, if Liverpool in the next month lose a couple of games and Arsenal go on a good run, which is plausible, and they're suddenly 3 points behind, some Arsenal fans, and I don't think that'll be young Tommy, and I don't think that'll be Jason or whoever else, but there'll be some that will suddenly be like, "Oh, I'm so happy. I knew this would happen," and it's like, I don't know, man. Maybe just some of you, I think, should keep your powder dry. I said,
what's coming. I've seen what's coming season in, season out. So I know what the story is. We'll go on a good run, got like 10, 15 wins in a row. And then when it comes to crunch time, we fold like a pack of cards. That's it.
I hear you on that. I do hear you on that. Terry, Mo is a fraud. He said some different stuff on TFT and says different stuff on other channels about United. He said United not doing a new rebuild. He's just, you need to super chat this when he's on my show, though, bro. I can't say nothing when he ain't here. Do you know what I mean? You've got to come on TFT and put this in, but I will definitely hold on to that. I want to thank Isaac as well for signing up to become a legend and super fan of the Football Terrace. It means a great deal. Sorry, Matt, you wanted to say something else that I wanted to run to you before I speak to the other boys.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to address the comment that I put on Fabrizio Romano's tweet. It was stupid, childish, and it should never happen again, really.
No, look,
and I want to apologize to you with all of that stuff on a certain other channel about the stream title and whatnot. I, for one, did not say anything for him to put that on there. He just decided to free will, pretty much.
Yeah, look. For me, that's it. All I asked on that day was like, you're not. All I said to you is that you don't represent the Football Terrace. So can you, like, I assumed that you went out there and said, "I'm Matt from the Football Terrace." You know, I mean it politely. All of you are great people on here, and I love you all to bits. But none of you are representatives of the Football Terrace. When you know what I mean. The thing that frustrated me about the Fabrizio comment is I don't know Fabrizio. I don't work with Fabrizio. But for me at the time, it was just I just thought it was there's a joke. And then there's calling someone that, and I just felt as though that
it's just childish.
But look, fair play to you, because it takes a real man to hold their hands up when they've done something wrong. You haven't doubled down, you haven't started attacking other people. So fair play to you for doing that. Why is the Arteta debate over? Again, I'm talking about the original debate. Hopefully you've seen it. Go back to minute 40 on here. Scroll back and go through it on there, my friend. It was there. I don't mean having conversation about whether he should stay or not. I just mean the original debate. I think a line has to be drawn. But honestly, I'm at a point now where if I'm listening to somebody else's show and I hear from either side, do you remember when I said, or I told you, I'm like, straight away I turn it off. I can't listen. I'm just done. I'm like, oh, talk about the now, please. On that subject.
Can I also just quickly say,
people in it, man.
Yeah, go on, Matt.
Is that I do not think Arsenal fans should be having this Arteta discussions this season. I think we should be looking at our attackers not doing their job, because if you look at our top goal scorers, Kai Havertz is on 7 goals, Saka's on 4, and then we've got a 17-year-old who's played 2 games. He started 2 games. He's on 3 goals, and he is 3rd. Huh? No. It's not an excuse. It's more an attack on our attackers not doing their job. I don't think the blame should necessarily be on Arteta. I think the blame should be on our attackers, really, for not doing their job.
Yeah, but who bought those attackers?
Matt, can I ask you something, mate?
He decided to buy Kai Havertz. He was the guy who decided to.
He also scored 14 goals last season.
But that's fine. But again, is he going to be that guy to take you over the line? He's not easy. Look, he chose.
We don't know yet.
Yeah, but he chose to not buy a Saka replacement. He chose this summer to not sign a striker again.
We signed a Saka replacement, but he's not.
Who's the Saka
Sterling.
replacement?
It's Sterling.
Yeah,
but
but
again,
Matt,
but
he should-
this is what I'm saying. And he chose to not buy a striker this summer again. And now you're seeing all that you need. That's an example. Like he buys. If you're gonna buy these players, you have to stand on them, mate.
Matt, do you know what?
but
Matt, do you know what I would say is this? I just think we have to be more mature about these conversations now. You can criticize the attackers and the manager at the same time. I don't think we have to. I don't think we have to live in this world where it's all on the manager and his system and nothing to do with the players. Equally, it isn't just always the play. Like you have to look at some of the decisions from Arteta in terms of starting Moreno as the 10 versus Bournemouth as an example, continuing to start Trossard in games recently where he's been in really poor form, not giving Waneri enough game time as an example. So I think there is a combination here of blame, criticism, and constructive feedback that can be given across the board.
Camera when it doesn't work.
I do agree with that.
Terry, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course, can, mate.
Yeah, because I've seen on some of your show, you've put sometimes this Saliba and his links to my football club and all that. I wanted to ask you.
Well, there's rumors out. Yeah.
And I want to ask you, how much longer do you think he will be there before my club starts, knocking on that door, and then he can start changing his mind? In your opinion,
I think if we just look at Saliba in isolation, Gooners won't like this, but he looks like a Real Madrid player to me.
He does. He does.
He will go next season for me.
Yeah, I think it will be if Arsenal start winning the major trophies. Okay, then I think they might keep him for another 2 or 3 seasons. If they start winning the Prems and Champions Leagues now-ish. If this season and next season they pick up nothing, or just the domestic trophies, I think you'll see a massive bid come in, and there'll be very little that Arsenal can do to stop him leaving. But I think that's the same for, again, unless Arsenal go out and say Arteta leaves this summer and they go out and bring Alonso, and Alonso comes in and wins in the Champions League, wins in the Premier League, then you might see someone like Saliba stay for a longer period of time. However, I do think at some stage he'll end up at Real Madrid. He just gives me, when Man United had Cristiano Ronaldo, as soon as he was about 20, from about the age of 21, he'd been at our club for 2 or 3 years. I just knew. Gut feeling. I always knew, no matter how good he was for us. And by the way, we were in our pomp then. We were winning everything.
You were much better. Much better.
And we were still, there's certain players I think, and I just think he'll end up there, but he will end up costing you. He'll probably be the world record fee for a centre back, in my opinion.
You know what it is? I think the reason you even kept Ronaldo even longer.
He left you in 2009. You guys were.
Yeah, but you know what it is? He actually stayed for that long, because they kept winning stuff. I think
even
he
when
might not didn't win stuff.
Sorry, guys. Tommy,
you guys still had a good team when he left you in 2009. You were still winning. You're still winning trophies, man.
Tom, you've got a delay, so you start talking when somebody else has started. He's got a delay on his mic. Sorry, what were you saying there, Sam?
No, I was saying that I think you guys were you guys managed to keep him longer, for a period of time, because you guys were winning trophies.
No, I agree.
I actually think that was a big factor as well.
Yeah, and for him, and also him and Fergie had a very, very close.
To at least delay the move.
Yeah, he promised Fergie that one last season, and then said, "Give me that one last season, then you go."
Yeah, and I think most Arsenal fans, in their heart of hearts, feel that at some point Saliba will probably leave the club in the next 2 to 3 years. Everybody else, I'm not too sure. Everybody else I feel like the rest of their current squad, they could be there for a considerable amount of time. There's no one that I'm looking at right now where you think, he's going to go to, he's going to leave for a bigger club in the short term. I think the only other person that you could maybe look at.
Saliba's going when we don't win anything, Terry.
Fabregas and Van Persie.
No, I hear that. But I was going to. The only other player that could go in the next, maybe I think it would take at least 3 years from now.
Van Persie's and Nasri.
Tommy, you've got a delay, bruv. You leave us a comment in the private chat when you want to speak. Otherwise, you cut in through the middle of saying, "Oh, sorry, mate." But yeah, no, as I say, I think it's one.
Yeah, sure.
This comment here says, "Great show. Thank you very, very much indeed for tuning in, mate. I really do appreciate that." This here says the Premier League. Sorry, this says with Premier League games in potential future could be international. Sorry, with Premier League games in potential future could be international singing. Do you mean? I don't know what you mean. Do you mean games being played abroad would add brand value? Yeah, no, yeah, but there's always brand value to players. It always has been. There always has been in relation to that. Look, I want to thank everybody that has tuned in to the show today. A massive thank you to each and every single one of you that has tuned in. It really means a great deal to us. It does. Please hit the like button before you leave and make sure you are subscribing. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all. Peace.